10. Dracula teeth. 45-year-old Alan Dale Lee is one of the ugliest and most memorable criminals anywhere in Florida. And that's saying something, because Florida is home to some very interesting-looking characters. This guy has the kind of face that would give you nightmares. According to the police reports, this man has been arrested multiple times for some pretty similar crimes, including things like aggravated assault, the possession of drug paraphernalia, and often the possession of meth. It's his teeth that have made him famous, though, as he looks like a meth-addicted Dracula. Alan only has about 3 teeth left in his whole mouth, and they don't look suitable for eating anything other than applesauce. Last we heard, Alan had been picked up in Dade County for trying to stab another man in the stomach with a knife. One of the officers involved in his arrest said it was difficult to keep a straight face while they were taking his mugshot because the cops had never seen a person with such terrifying teeth. Just because he was unfortunate enough to be born with a gnarly set of chompers, you can't really feel bad for Alan. It wasn't his teeth that forced him to do drugs and hurt people. 9. Horned criminal. Is it really that surprising when a man with body modifications to make himself look like the devil commits heinous crimes? A very ugly man named Caius Veovis has been found guilty of a horrifying triple murder. This guy has implants in his forehead that make it look as if devil horns are trying to grow out of his face. He also has a tattoo that says 666. Oh yeah, and he was convicted on 3 counts of kidnapping, 3 counts of intimidating a witness, and for his involvement in the killings of David Glasser, Edward Frampton, and Robert Chadwell. Their remains were found buried and dismembered on private property. An employee from the local Home Depot who witnessed Caius going into the store to buy saws testified against him. It was hard for the employee to forget Caius because, well, he's pretty unforgettable. It's not every day a guy with horns and satanic tattoos comes into the Home Depot to purchase handsaws, hatchets, and hammers. But don't worry, you'll probably never meet this guy on the street. Caius Veovis screamed at the jury that convicted him, saying, "I'll see you all in hell, every effing one of you. I'll see you all in hell." After being found guilty of the 3 murders, he should be spending the rest of his life locked up behind bars. 8. Ugly pervert. David Kelly has been described as extremely ugly and disgusting. This guy is a registered sex offender who was recently arrested at a Walmart in Orlando, Florida. He got busted on the store's surveillance cameras squeezing a girl's butt in the toy aisle. As if Walmart needed to be any more of a nightmare to go to, now you've got ugly creeps running around grabbing people's behinds. The child and her family had gone to Walmart and she asked if she could go look at some toys. She went by herself, and that was when David targeted her. He walked by, squeezed her butt, walked away, then came back for seconds and did it again. The victim cried and ran to her parents, saying that an ugly man had attacked her. The loss prevention officer at Walmart followed David out to the parking lot and tried to catch him. When David made a run for it, a bystander tackled him and kept him pinned to the ground until the police arrived. He has since been charged with lewd and lascivious molestation of a minor and sent to jail. 7. Thick neck. Charles Dion McDowell has quite the neck on him. In fact, unless you're Gaston from Disney's Beauty and the Beast, there's likely nobody else alive who has a neck quite so thick. Charles was arrested in Escambia County, Florida on charges of eluding the police, possessing marijuana and cocaine, methamphetamine, and a few other drug-related crimes. But it's not his crimes that Charles is now famous for. It's that great big neck. That thing is like a redwood's tree trunk. The Escambia County Sheriff's Department shared his mugshot on Facebook, and it has traveled around the world. It's not that he's ugly per se, he's just got a neck like a wild bison. But here's what a lot of people don't know about Charles and his big neck. After his photo went viral, he created an Instagram account and somehow managed to gather 1.3 million followers. What can we say? People eat this stuff up. But he didn't use his following for good, as the New York Post recently reported that he was picked up by the police again. He was put behind bars for the third time in less than 2 months. Yet again, it was for meth and cocaine. And who knows, maybe that's the secret formula to his ridiculously wide neck. Can you think of any other super unattractive people that have used their bad looks to gain followers on social media? Who are they? Let us know in the comments section down below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. 6. Squashed nose. Speaking of criminals and cocaine, a millionaire has been sentenced to 5 years in jail after getting busted with a pile of cocaine worth around $200,000. The drugs were found hidden inside the air vents of his luxury Bentley. For a wealthy property developer, 45-year-old James Brown isn't a very good crook. He's also quite horrifying to look at. He may have retired at the age of 36, but he went on to ruin his life by getting addicted to coke. He actually did so much of this stuff that his nose collapsed and he was left with an ugly depression in the middle of his face. Did you think that snorting too much of the stuff could cause your nose to deteriorate was a myth? Well then, James Brown busted that myth wide open. As for the reason the police found so much cocaine in his car in the first place, it all happened back in December of 2011 when he was stopped by police. Along with the cocaine, they discovered illegal weapons inside the hotel James was staying at in South Wales. He had a 9mm semi-automatic Walther PP1, a Russian 9mm Tula Tokarev, and a rifle with ammunition. He had the weapons allegedly for his own safety. Part of his cocaine problem was that, other than losing his nose and turning into a ghoul, he became paranoid that people were constantly out to get him. 5. The ugly wife. Have you ever seen the memes of the before and after plastic surgery pictures of Kylie Jenner that say, "You're not ugly, you're just poor"? Well, that might actually be very true for some people. A woman in northern China was so ugly that she was sued by her husband. If you're thinking, well, this can't possibly be true, it is. And the husband won the lawsuit. His name is Jian Feng, and he complained that after his wife gave birth to their daughter, he became disturbed because his daughter was extremely ugly and he didn't understand why. He accused his wife of cheating on him with an ugly man. And that was when it came to light that before the couple had met, his wife had spent roughly $100,000 on plastic surgeries. She hadn't looked very good prior to the surgery, and that became evident when they had their kid together. To Feng's defense, his wife really did look like a completely different person. Her sunken, droopy eyes were lifted into lovely almond-shaped ones. Her flat nose wasn't flat at all anymore. Her odd, unsymmetrical mouth was now perfectly symmetric, and she had nice, plump lips. But rather than acting like a rational human, Feng filed the lawsuit. The complaint in the lawsuit wasn't actually that his wife was secretly ugly underneath all her surgery. Rather, it was that she had convinced him to marry her without divulging what she really looked like. In other words, he claimed that she tricked him into marrying her with plastic surgery. The judge has since ordered her to pay Feng $120,000 in damages. Can you believe this? We just wonder what kind of relationship he'll have with his ugly daughter. 4. Worst tattoo ever. David Jonathan Winkleman from Iowa has the worst tattoo in the world. It's beyond bad, and it's right on his forehead, making him a big, ugly billboard. He no doubt regrets his decision to get a radio station tattooed on his forehead, but there's not much he can do about it now. In the year 2000, a radio jockey apparently offered his listeners 6 figures if anyone could get the station's logo tattooed on their forehead. David volunteered, but he made the really terrible mistake of not consulting with the radio station first. He went and got the tattoo, then walked into the station to collect his cash. That was when he found out that the radio broadcast had been a prank, and they weren't going to give him any money. David tried to take the radio station to court over the tattoo, but that never went anywhere. Winkleman then became famous after being arrested on a misdemeanor charge and having his mugshot go viral. He's now basically the laughingstock of Ohio. And it doesn't help that he was pretty ugly to begin with. We also don't understand why he had the tattoo covering his entire forehead. Like, why wouldn't you get a super small one? David is not the sharpest tool in the shed, but he's definitely the ugliest. 3. Big Chin Man. Victor Joseph Espinoza has a very startling mugshot. He looks like some kind of a toad-human hybrid. From the lips up, he looks like a normal 425-pound, 193-kilogram gangster. From the lips down, he looks like he has a tumor growing inside of his chin. He sort of looks like one of those frogs with a neck that bulges like a giant bubble before letting out a big ribbit. That's to say, his chin is absolutely enormous. He was recently busted snatching a 10-year-old boy and sniffing his arm. Yeah, a pretty weird crime that earned him 32 months in prison. It happened while the boy and his friend were walking down a dirt path on their way to soccer practice. Victor grabbed the kid by his scruff and started sniffing him before the child broke free, and the pair ran to tell their soccer coach what had happened. The soccer coach tackled Victor to the ground, but the hefty gang member ran away. Luckily, he couldn't outrun the police. They brought him into the station and took the bizarre mugshot. Not only is Victor now known as a child sniffer, he's also one of the ugliest criminals in modern history. 2. Too ugly for crime. David Holyoke is too ugly to be a criminal. David hails from Manchester in the United Kingdom. He recently started a jail sentence of 3.5 years for robbery. One of the officers involved in the case said that one look in the mirror should have told David he wasn't cut out for a life of crime. This is because his big ears and round features make him stand out from a mile away. Officers recognize David even before he sees them coming. He's so ugly, he's been nicknamed Shrek. Despite his ugly face, David was part of a gang that specialized in robbing banks. They weren't very good, though. The last bank robbery they pulled off involved threatening the cashier with a sledgehammer. It only took the police one glance to recognize David as one of the robbers. To make matters worse for David, an eyewitness described him and his unmistakably large ears. There was no chance of him ever getting away or not being identified. Hopefully, when he finally gets out of jail, he realizes that he needs to find a new profession. 1. Ugly mugshot. A suspect recently phoned 911 to complain about her ugly mugshot. In one of the most shocking crime stories ever, Tanya Ann Fowler called 911 after she got a haircut and put on some makeup to demand that they let her take a new mugshot. Of course, you can't just demand a new mugshot. Luckily for Tanya, calling the police for such trivial matters is, in fact, a crime. They picked her up on charges of misusing the 911 system along with disorderly conduct. She was able to get the mugshot she wanted, but it didn't really help. The problem with Tanya is that no amount of makeup can cover up that amount of ugly. Not only is she now a hilarious viral story all over the internet with her appalling mugshots seared into the minds of anyone with an internet connection, she's also facing more criminal charges. Thanks for watching. Which criminal do you think is the ugliest? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe buttons and check out more awesome videos from the channel. See you next time. Bye.